Hello there folks, and welcome back to my channel. Ferengi on board here with another video on the mind and on the series of wisdom shorts, a series through which I prefer presenting things in a very short manner, well, as opposite to my way of, well, presenting things in a very long way and providing a lot of information and structuring things in such a way that a main idea will have a great foundation for it to be uh, let's say better received. So this time I will continue a bit on the idea of the mind, a resource that all the people have, but unfortunately very few are knowledgeable of its greater potential, other than it just being a tool for survival. So one of the questions is, why do people have the impression that things click with them? Okay, many people hear a certain thing and then they suddenly feel that yes, that is definitely true, even if it's just a hallucinatory state. Now, why this happens usually is because many people will embrace things even if they are not of their own experience. Why this happens is because the mind, as we know, is highly specialized in logics. It can only accept things if they are logical. Hence why at times you will be assaulted by all sorts of questions that state why that thing would happen, how that thing can happen, and all things, okay, like for example, what is the purpose of life? Okay, this is a question that usually emanates from someone not experiencing life as they should, because if they were much happier in life, a purpose of life as a question wouldn't even exist in their minds. Okay, but if people don't live a happy enough life, they will start seeking ways to actually make it happier. One of the foundations, okay, one of the reasons why society is so filled with distractions is because distractions click with you. They give you a certain impression, but they don't give you the real truth, okay? Now, the real truth usually lies in your own perceptions. What you have perceived is and will always be the only truth for you, because that's how our physical bodies have been designed. Why? Because, well, there doesn't need to be a answer for this question. Our bodies each have their own perception. Even if each and every human body has the same senses, each and every one will perceive things differently. And, well, that makes it that very rarely someone's truths can also be other person's truths, okay? But nowadays, there are a lot of people who simply speak, even public speakers, that speak based on targeted audiences. Okay, so when people play the role of fake gurus and they sell all sorts of programs that theoretically help people become less fat, okay, become slimmer, or you know, go through a six-pack program, or I don't know how to become quickly rich. Okay, they always have targeted audiences, so they know what the problems of the audiences are, and the way they speak, um, their speech simply clicks with people mainly because of this. Okay, it is just a belief, and the person speaks based on people's problems. That's how they hook them, through the people's problems, because the person gets the feeling that the speaker has also gone through those specific problems and solved them. Okay, instead, this is nothing else than some kind of sociopathic and or narcissistic person that does nothing else than look for attention. Okay, if you look deeper into the eyes of those people, as I have with so many of these so-called um, fake gurus or whatever people call them, if you look into those eyes, you will usually see emptiness, blankness. Okay, they simply can't care about you and whether you are reaching success. Why do you think their courses are allowed on the internet? The only reason, according to the law, is that they use a certain thing called, um, well, the name kind of slips, but it's the disclaimer that they are using, that the course does not guarantee you success just because they write that. Okay, anyone can write and create their own courses. Okay, so long as you have that, you cannot be considered a fraud according to the present rules. So many use this loophole to their own advantage. Now the point about this is, well, is this necessarily good or bad? Well, everyone has to learn their own things, okay, but when people have learned how to manipulate the mind, because what I see psychology primarily used for is how to trick the human mind. And I'm not saying psychology is necessarily this, but think about the loads of psychology that are being used in advertisements. Highly aggressive psychology that is used on making you buy certain things. And fake gurus are no difference. Why? Because they simply can't care about you using their products or not. If you no longer pay them, they're not gonna be there anymore to support you with their points of view and their own experiences, if they are even presenting own experiences, okay? Because what some of them may be doing is just read some books and then share that information, which was either free or for a lower price. They share it for a greater price. So every time you have the impression that something clicks with you, it's nothing else than what I call a logical bypass, okay? The mind knows that you have been focusing on a certain thing, and the more you focus on it, even if you do it unconsciously, the mind will always prioritize that. So if someone suddenly comes and speaks about that, you will instantly lend a ear, because that's what you've trained your mind to do. That is why when people speak around you, you will always hear certain specific things, like someone swearing you, or someone saying something nice of you, or I don't know, gossip or different other things. Okay, you can only lean your ear to that, because basically what you hear is not what is real life. Okay, it's a bit behind, because the brain also takes around up to a second to process all the information that you are receiving. And what you are hearing basically is only the end result, okay, before the mind simply ditched all the ideas that you have heard. That's why only that which you've been focusing on will be heard by you, okay, and everything else seems so fumbled that you don't simply understand, you can't focus on it. Okay, this happens especially with people that have low self-esteem, because they usually hear things that can be interpreted or are specific, um, you know, swears or things that target them, and not in a good way. So what you think clicks with you is nothing else than a logical bypass. Okay, the mind believes that it is only logical to go that way. When people ask why questions, for example, why questions are tricky to answer, because usually a why question implies a story or a greater explanation. Okay, and this greater explanation, if presented from the point of view of someone who has experienced things, it is especially better. But the problem is, if people haven't experienced that, okay, but it makes logical sense to them, they will instantly feel that it clicks with them. Can it be their own truth? Well, not necessarily. But the simple impression, the simple fact that it clicks with them, that will give, that will have them give so much power to the mind, because that is the superpower of the mind. It can easily impress you with anything that it shows you, okay, and you will take it for even better than reality itself. If you don't believe me, take for example your fear, okay, false evidence appearing real. The fear is nothing else than an approximation of the future, an interpretation of the future. Let's say you're only viewing the worst outcomes, okay, that can see, and in some cases not even the worst, just the worst outcomes that may pop up. But think about the question, how many of those actually happened? Then you might hear all those people proclaiming the what I call the flow of distraction, that if you think about fear, you will attract a lot of fear in your life. No, you will not attract more fear in your life. It's just that you will continue thinking on that, because as I've been saying in a previous video, the mind only provides comfort to those who feed it well. So the point is, depending on what you feed your mind with, that's gonna be your comfort zone. So the point about things clicking with you is that they only make a logical sense. However, the mind is only a tool for survival. So as I've been saying in a previous video, do not simply give your mind too much power, because it has so many ways and tools to screw you over. And that especially if you feed it a lot of things, if you feed it a lot of negative ideas like treason and all sorts of negative emotional attachments, okay, lower vibrational attachments, okay. So all this being said, hopefully you like the type of content that I'm creating. Feel free to like and subscribe. Feel free to share this with others so we can raise the awareness of people. All this being said, you are loved and appreciated. Take care. Ferenc Jan Board signing out.